Remember when, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, Repose ended up making a video talking about how the game, Dark and Darker. This is a Dark and Darker video. Remember how he made that video talking about how Dark and Darker had too many queues? And then SDF decided that he was going to take that personally and then strip the game down to fuck all nearly nothing. If only then to start trickling back the features and benefits and stuff that we kept saying that the game should still have in it because that was where the core of the player base was. If only then to do it too fucking slow and have the entirety of the player base leave and mass exodus going from some 20 to 25-ish thousand concurrent players on a daily basis at peak times to now, I don't know, last look, it was somewhere around like 3,000 in-game. You guys remember that? Because fucking Pepperidge Farm remembers. Anyway, our boy SDF decided that he was going to put in a whole lot of stuff talking about the vision and what it was that he saw during prior tests and things that he saw in terms of combat and like the feedback and what conclusions he gained. If only then to decide that more or less the game, save for maybe the BR circle, is going to go back to exactly what it was prior to having the game stripped away from us to begin with in the first place. That's right, friends. According to SDF, in the direction going forward section of his little write-up, he talks about all kinds of stuff. What did we gain? Party type issues, gear gap. At first, due to misanalysis, we perceived gear differences themselves as a problem, but in reality, they were not. If gear differences were eliminated entirely, players would lose their motivation to pursue better gear, and since gear functions as a core progression goal, a certain level of difference was necessary. Yeah, we knew that from the start. Excessive time investment, people saying that it took too long to get good gear, which ended up being complete hogwash bullshit because we could get good gear in single runs even. We ended up finding BIS. Or you could craft it, and that's why we had the gem system, that even though it was relatively subpar, we still had the ability to be somewhat competitive given how gems worked. You know, we still stripped the game down and fucked over the entire player base first. Anyway, direction going forward. This is the important part of the video, kids. Solo, duo, and trio will be fixed as a part of the game system, just like normal and high roller. This will apply to all dungeons as long as the player population allows. So, rather than having Goblin be solo and Frost be duo and Crypts be trio, we are now going to have solo, duo, and trio on all of the maps. Once again, as long as the player base allows, which is the problem that we talked about at the beginning, right? Like that was the entire reason why we got rid of all of the queues, was because of the solo, duo, trio on every map problem. And then, of course, now we're going to have the water map in like, what, a month-ish? Like 6 weeks? This is going to change. Gear differences will be maintained at a level where players can feel progression in value, while extreme gaps may inevitably determine outcomes. The balance will be adjusted so that normal competitive ranges and players do not lose hope. To ensure that players with limited time do not give up on keeping up, systems such as sockets and improved item management and trading will be provided to narrow gaps while reducing repetitive and unnecessary time sinks. This is stuff that we have been saying like literally forever. The gemming system actually made sense, but you didn't want to make it so that the gems had the best possible stats in every scenario. You made them slightly worse, so that way people got something close to the best possible in-slot items, but the best in-slot items still retain some best in-slot item level of value. At the same time, you could very, very easily just put blues and purples and whatnot on vendors as you improved their rep, because just like in Tarkov, as you progress through the game, you end up unlocking trader levels. Those trader levels give you better gear, but not the best gear, because the best gear drops on the maps, right? That was the entire point. Make certain gear pieces something that drops in-map only, just like it does in other survival and extraction games, just like this one. Anyway, even in defeat, players should feel I could have won if I played better. To ensure this, hit-to-kill adjustments, hitbox compensation, and other methods will be used to guarantee at least a minimal chance for skill to overcome disadvantage. Matchmaking pools will be kept as minimal as possible to avoid excessive fragmentation of the player base, while still maintaining enough size for the balances defined above to function properly. During the early access period, experiments and adjustments will continue, but unless there are exceptional circumstances, we will do our utmost to uphold the standards we have now established. You heard it here first, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Thank you sincerely for your interest and support of Dark and Darker. Okay, for real though, how it was 5 months ago, 4 months ago, whatever it was back then, wasn't the worst that it possibly could have been, because we got shown what the worst it possibly could have been was when they changed it into what it was before. It has been improved since then, The problem was always the flip-flopping. It was take 3 away, give 2 back, take 2 away, give 2 back, the back and forth on axe specialization and whatnot that was pointed out many, many times over. Instead of doing very small incremental changes like you would see for balance passes that are made on games that are heavily reliant on stats and gear, like a Dota or League of Legends, instead of these small incremental changes, you have wide swathing modifications to large mechanics, moving points around is several full points of adjustment rather than using decimals. What's the matter with decimals? You guys use decimals in other places. You have curves in other areas. Start using decimal points and then look at the data. See how it slowly shifts over time. Make small, minor, incremental adjustments. A lot of people are complaining that the route for sorcerers from Frost Lightning is too long at 2 seconds. Make it 1.75. And then if that isn't like short enough, make it 1.5. Why not do these things in smaller chunks instead of like, I don't know, changing large percentages around? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Personally, I'm glad that we're right back to where we started from, save again for the BR circle idea, which I still say is something that should just go to fucking pot. We don't need a BR circle. I've been saying this forever. We still have it anyway, so we're going to have the BR circle, I guess, and other than that, we're going to have basically the game back to what it was before. Although, I guess if you wanted to be a stickler and say that the BR circle is back to what it was before because that's how the game was originally designed, fine. Fine. Y'all are right. That's true. It was the original design. However, I still say the game is better played as an open dungeon crawling experience and not something that needs a BR circle. I do. And I also, but I will say, I like the stairs. The red stairs being open, you can go down whatever. I like that. I don't like the random portal thing. I think that's bullshit. I don't think it's necessary. Anyway, if you guys want to come by and check out a stream, I'll be live playing Tarkov tomorrow. So if you want to come by and see me work my way toward my first Kappa container ever during the hardcore wipe, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, I suppose sub the channel if you end up liking the videos. And if those don't work for you, perhaps I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for lending me your eyeballs, everybody. My name again is Onepeg, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.